think about how long summer lasted when you were 10 years old. School ended, and what stretched out in front of you felt like an ocean. 6 weeks that held entire friendships, brand new skills, 100 afternoons that each had their own weather. Now think about this year. It's July. Half of it is already gone. And if it's signed, peeled for fertilation, I felt and if you try to say where it went, you can't. A few deadlines. A birthday. Some weekends you'd have to check your phone to reconstruct. The rest is fog. You've probably had the argument too. Someone says, "That was 2 years ago," and you push back, because it feels like 6 months. Then you check. They're right. 2 entire years, folded up small enough to lose. Here's the unsettling part. The years really are getting shorter. But not on any calendar. They're getting shorter inside your head. And it's happening for a reason. Your brain doesn't measure time with a clock. It measures it with something else entirely. Once you see what, you'll notice it working everywhere. And you'll see the one lever that slows it back down. Start with the last time everything was new. A new job, a new city, a new school. Remember that first week? It felt enormous. Day 3 alone seemed to contain a month. Then you settled in. And somewhere around the 6th week, the weeks started vanishing. Monday, then suddenly Friday, then suddenly October. Take the drive to a place you've never been. On the way there, the road stretches on forever. On the way home, same road, same distance, it's somehow half as long. Psychologists have measured this so many times it has its own name, the return trip effect. Same hours, same kilometers, 2 completely different lengths inside your head. So a single week can feel huge, and a whole year can feel tiny. A clock says that's impossible. Your brain does it every single day. Now, there's a popular explanation for all of this, and you've probably heard it. When you're 10, 1 year is 1/10 of your entire life. When you're 40, it's a 40th. Each new year is a smaller slice, so each new year feels smaller. Simple mathematics. People have been offering this answer since the 1800s. William James was already writing about the way years seem to empty out as we age. It sounds tidy. It can't be the whole story, because a fraction can't explain the return trip effect. Both halves of that drive happen in the same year of your life. It can't explain why one slow afternoon crawls while an entire decade flies. Something else is deciding how long time feels, and it isn't math. Here's the thing nobody tells you. There is no clock in your head. Not one. No part of your brain has the job of counting hours. So when you ask yourself how long this year was, your brain does something sneaky. It checks the archive. It looks at how much new material it saved from those months. And it reads that amount as time. Thick stack of new memories? Must have been a long year. Thin stack? Must have been short. And one thing above all decides how thick the stack gets. Newness. Your brain is a ruthless editor. It keeps first times. It throws away repeats. The first drive to your office? Saved in full detail. The 400th? Deleted before you even parked. Try to remember an ordinary Tuesday from 3 weeks ago. Nothing comes back. That Tuesday happened to you. Your editor just didn't file it. Suddenly, the summers of your childhood make sense. At 10, almost everything is a first time. The first crash on a bike. The first time swimming past the point where your feet reach, the first friend who moves away. Every single day produced a pile of new files. When your brain looks back at that summer, the archive is enormous. So the summer reads as enormous. And the adult years make sense too. Routine is comfortable, efficient, and nearly invisible to memory. Same desk, same route, same evening scrolling. Your brain stores one template called Workday and stamps it 200 times. 200 days filed as one memory. When you look back, the year reads as thin, short, gone, and it compounds. The more identical the days, the more of them merge into that single template. That's why a stretch of years can collapse into what feels like one long week. Not because nothing happened, but because the same things happened again and again, and your editor only kept one copy. And that's not even the strange part. The strange part is that both measurements run at the same time in opposite directions. Think about a good vacation. While you're living it, it races. You land, you blink, you're packing again. But once you're home, it swells. Those 8 days feel like you were gone a month. Psychologists call this the holiday paradox. Full days race while you live them and stretch when you remember them. Empty days do the reverse. They crawl while you live them and vanish when you remember them. So is time moving fast or slow? Always has two answers. One from the person living the day, one from the person who will remember it. That second person is the one your years belong to. As life settles into repetition, the rememberer gets less and less to work with. That's the acceleration. Not the planet spinning faster, an archive quietly thinning out. Once you see this, you start catching it in real time. A month blurs past, and instead of asking where it went, you know, nothing new happened, so nothing got filed. You notice which weeks you actually remember. They're the ones with a first in them. A new person, a new street, a problem you had never solved before. You even catch the editor mid-decision. That odd little moment where you realize a whole afternoon has passed and you can't name one thing from it. This is worth sitting with for a second because the stakes are real. If the archive is what your years are made of, then a decade of pure routine doesn't just feel short when you look back. It is short, in the only record of it you will ever have. And here's the practical side, because the archive doesn't ask for much. Newness is not a plane ticket. It's the unfamiliar way home. The dish you don't know how to cook yet. The conversation with the neighbour you've nodded at for 3 years. Small first times file just as well as big ones. Even a day you can't change still has room for one file. One street you've never walked down. One question you've never asked the person across the table. It sounds too small to matter. The archive is built from exactly that size of thing. You can't put more hours into a year. Nobody can. But you can decide how thick the year becomes in the only place its length is ever measured: your own memory. That summer when you were 10 wasn't longer than this one. It was fuller. Time isn't speeding up as you get older. The clock in your head just doesn't count hours. It counts first times. And that clock, you can wind yourself